This is Ashton Marcus, and I'm on location at the Actors Workout Studio for their presentation of War Stories. Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Sarah Kelly. I'm a playwright and an actor, and currently War Stories is a play that I wrote that's going up at the Actors Workout Studio in North Hollywood. I'm acting in it as well as co-producing it, and I wrote it. I played Jen. She's a therapist, and she gets a little too involved in her clients' lives. She tries to keep everything professional, and she's had some misadventures with love and has kind of decided that it's best to be practical, but in her heart of hearts she's really a romantic, and she's kind of fighting. She's not sure if love really exists, and she's trying to figure that out.
If my viewers decide to come by and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
It's a romantic drama about the intersecting love lives of four people in Los Angeles. I like to say that LA is like the fifth character in the show because it's very important to the story. But it's about the ways that we screw up in our quest for love, but we keep fighting for it anyway. War Stories is, think of it as love and war. It's a play on that. But all these characters, their lives end up intertwining in ways that you don't expect, and as it evolves, you start to put together how they know each other.
You know, I actually like this piece. I really don't like romantic comedy myself. You know, I like dark theater.
Yeah.
I like where people get murdered. I like really edgy things. I really don't like, but actually, I really like this piece a lot.
Oh, well, thank you so much. That means a lot to me. I appreciate it.
Well, I'm not really sure if that's a compliment, though.
Well, the fact that you liked it is good. I would say that there is some darkness to it, though. I mean, I don't want to give too much away, but there's definitely some elements of people doing some crazy things in the name of love. So I don't know. I think there's some dark comedy in there.
Yeah, I myself have always been baffled by love. I've just never understood it. Gotten to the point where I don't appreciate it. Gotten to the point where I basically can do without it. You know, things like that. I'm not sure if it's cynical and all that. But again, theater actually gives me a very different look at love. You know what I mean? I mean, you see a lot of murder. You see a lot of divorce. In fact, that's the norm of theater, and I'm not sure if that's warped me a bit. So that's why I get this piece. It's just a little different from the normal theater I see.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've heard a lot of people that have seen it. We did it at Hollywood Fringe last summer. It was a shorter one-act version of this play. But at Fringe and the production that we did last night, a lot of people relate. You know, it kind of mirrors a lot of people's misadventures in looking for love, and it's very LA and how difficult it can be to date here. So I don't know. I mean, I think if you're a cynic, this show will work for you, and if you're a romantic, this show will work for you. It kind of depends on your perspective, which characters you end up connecting with, and the endings for everyone are not necessarily good. They're kind of bittersweet, and you don't really know how it's all going to turn out. But I think if you're a hopeful person, you're going to hope for the best, and if you're not, you might go, I don't know.
Actually, I really liked it a lot. I'm surprised I liked it a lot because I usually don't like these things. So why did you decide to write this piece anyway?
Well, I think I was trying to figure out how I felt about love, actually. And there's a little bit of me in all the characters, but it really was that was the question, like, what does love exist, and what about the idea of soulmates, and is that really possible? I mean, after you've been dating for a while, you can get a little cynical and jaded, and so I think I was trying to explore how I felt about the subject.
I'm always curious about, is it possible to actually have a normal kind of love relationship and still be in Hollywood? Because nowadays, you got to travel. You got to go to New York. You got to do a lot of stuff, and a lot of your love life has to be put on hold. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it really depends. I mean, I've heard a lot of people say that you can import it, right? Like if you're a couple and you come from somewhere else to this city, you can make it last, but finding it organically here can be difficult. I think LA is a lot of large cities where people tend to settle down later in life because they're focused on their careers and what they're doing, and so that can make it more difficult. people really are, they're focused on what they want to do, and it can make it difficult to, put somebody else first or make those compromises that you have to make a relationship last. So I think there's always an exception to every rule, and I would never say blanket statement it's always this way, but I have found that to be the case. It's definitely more difficult.
Once again, I really like the piece.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Alexander Carroll, from Michigan originally, but I've been in LA about 13 years now. I lived in New York for a brief period there in the middle, but moved out here 13 years ago to follow my passion. I played Jake in War Stories. Jake is a really, really passionate guy, and he is an artist, and I know guys like Jake that sometimes that artistic passion bleeds into their real life, takes over their real life, and they can do some really crazy things if they're motivated to do it.
I don't like these type of I don't like romantic comedies. I just don't like them because I think they're like fairy tales. I think it's like, boy meets girl, boy loses girl, boy meets girl again. They move to a house in the suburbs. I really hate things like this. I love this piece though. I really liked it. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's nice to hear, and I appreciate that. Sarah really wrote a great story here, and I think the reason being that she doesn't shy away from the darker matter. So we get to see the happy parts that these people experience, but we also experience with them the really dark parts that you experience in relationships, whether it's early on or later in your life. But at some point or another, everybody's going to go through a dark time in a relationship, and Sarah wasn't afraid to put that down on paper.
I got another question for you. You being an actor and all that, I hear in Hollywood it's almost impossible to have a normal, love life, a normal relationship, you might say, because you got to be selfish. I mean, job comes first. If not, someone else is going to do the job. If you've got to take time to spend with your family or with your significant other, someone's going to take your part. There's 100 people will take your part. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. I always joke with people that acting is my girlfriend because it takes up so much of your time, and if you want to succeed in this big dream that so many people have, and there's so many talented people out there, when you're lucky enough to get a part, it's the greatest blessing in the world. But you have to spend all your time focusing on it, and I don't think people realize how much hard work actually goes into that. So it makes it incredibly difficult to be in a relationship, especially if the other person you're in the relationship is not in the industry, because they might not necessarily understand that artistic drive that you have, this thing inside you that makes you do what you do.
I hear actually it's even hard to date people in the industry. I mean, you may get connections from it, but all you're going to talk about is the parts you didn't get,
Yeah, definitely is hard to date them long term. And on the short term it can be fun, but no, you're right, it's hard, and it's a competitive thing too, so it's you're in competition with everybody else, but there's a camaraderie that goes along with it, so it's complicated, as all relationships are. It's complicated.
Once again, I love the piece because it talked about the darkness also in love, and also it was very realistic. Not your fairy tale about boy meets girl and they all just move out and they go to Idaho, wherever it is. So it was really complex. It was dark. It was kind of light at times, and I wasn't disappointed at the end. And I also really loved your performance. I really liked your passion.
Thank you so much. It's really nice to hear that. Thanks for coming.
Okay. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine. I'm here with...
My name is Roxanne Jekyll. I went to the Orange County High School of the Arts. I studied musical theater, so I've been doing theater, drama, musicals my whole life. And then I went to UC Irvine and did a lot of productions there, just in my own free time. Since being in LA, I've done some films. I started producing films. I'm directing my first film next week. And I've been in probably about 6 or 7 plays throughout LA since I've been here.
And which character did you play?
I played Chelsea. Chelsea's going through a very, very difficult time. She's experiencing, as my dad put it, some of the worst things you can go through in life. The death of a family member, cheating on her boyfriend, and then the subsequent breakup and dissolving of their relationship. So she's lost. She's completely lost, and she's trying to find her way back in the midst of falling in love and figuring out what that means.
I don't know how to take how to really take. Because I really don't like romantic comedies myself. I like my theater dark. I like to see murders as well. I like to see dramas, tragedies. But I actually like this piece. I'm not sure what that says about it.
Well, there's certainly plenty of drama, you know, and I'm also drawn to dark, gritty, and really raw and real stories. And a lot of people have mentioned that this story is so relatable. At some point, you relate to all the characters, and I think when you take something that we've all experienced and bring out the real truth and also the drama that we're all drawn to, I think that appeals to anybody. You know, you can understand all of these people's stories.
Question I have about also finding, I guess, finding romance or some kind of normal love life as an actor. I've been told in Hollywood that's almost impossible. You have to be selfish. You have to put your career first. You have to put 100% in your work. What are your thoughts on that? Is it possible?
I think anything's possible. I think I absolutely think that love is the primary possibility in life. It is challenging, though. You do have to put yourself first, but I think we all do that for things that we are passionate about. You know, anyone that really has a passion or a draw or something that they want to build a career on have to ultimately make a priority out of that, but it's all about balance. It's all about balance for all of us, you know, and I've found that when you find the right person in platonic relationships or otherwise romantic, you make that a priority too, you know, and you have to make it work.
Okay, first of all, I love the piece. You know, I thought it was, even though I really don't like pieces like this, I love this piece. I liked your character too, because I like flawed characters. I thought your character was three-dimensional too, even though some people would say maybe it was two-dimensional, but I actually thought it was very three-dimensional. So I really liked your performance. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you so much. It was nice talking to you.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Sam Lewis. I am an actor who recently moved to LA not too long ago, I think about 6 months. I spent the last 4 years doing theater and stuff out in Boston, originally from Madison, Wisconsin, so I've been hopping all over the place recently. But I finally made LA my home, and I'm ready to just, keep going at it. My take on Sam is that he is a hopeless romantic, sometimes to a fault, which I guess kind of goes hand in hand sometimes if you're a hopeless romantic, but the fact that he's a writer, I think, I'm paraphrasing the line, but says something about writing his own fiction and falling in love with it. I think that's kind of his downfall, that he does dream up these wonderful relationships and these dream characters, but that's not how it works. That's not how it happens, at least most of the time. And so I think that's kind of, his downfall. Sounds weird. That's his Achilles heel. And I think there's something beautiful in the fact that even though he's so great at creating this, it's still hard to do himself. Even though you think he has the formula, he knows how to do it, but nobody really does completely. And I think that's kind of the appeal of the piece, of the character, and just...
I really don't like these types of romantic comedies. I like my theater really dark. This one here, actually I liked it. I mean, I liked it even though it's actually more of your typical romantic comedy. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that there is absolutely a time and a place for what you're saying, and for the romantic comedy, and for, the romantic drama. There's a place and time for everything. I think maybe for you and for other audiences who are used to seeing more, I guess theatrical would be the right word for it. It's the reason why this appeals is because it is such a human thing that we've all experienced. To some degree or another, we all can relate to how the characters are feeling in this play. And it's good to get outside of ourselves sometimes and just see a spectacle or just see something intense like you're talking about. But at the same time, I think at its essence, theater is about connecting with the people on stage and the stories being told. And so I think even if it's not necessarily your forte, the romantic comedy or romantic drama or whatever, if it's done in the right way, it's written well and acted well, everybody can relate to it, and so everybody can take something, away from it. And let's be honest, there's scary things about love, you know what I mean? Like, it's no, walk in the park, so, yeah, I think so.
Again, I really like this piece, actually. Again, I'm surprised I like this piece, because I usually don't like these pieces. Yeah. But again, because it was rather dark, it was complex, it showed a lot of sides to it, and actually it was actually very entertaining, too.
Yeah, you're right. It was very dark in a lot of moments, actually, because it wasn't trying to cover anything up. She just wanted to tell a story about, just the ridiculousness almost of love and your expectation of love, and when it comes, how it never comes how it should, or at the right time, or with the right person. I mean, that is dark, because we look as a culture, especially, you know, people in LA and Hollywood, you know, who are all about the movies and the plays, we look at it as a fairy tale situation almost every time. And so to get, you know, the gritty and rawness and disappointment into a piece like this, which is also very contemporary, I think that's why it would have appeal across the board, you know, to yourself included. Absolutely.
Question: you being an actor, I hear it's almost impossible in Hollywood, or you know, in show business, to actually have a normal relationship. You know, it's first of all, you got to work nights and you got to work weekends. When you're at work, they're free. When they're free, you're at work. Yeah. And again, also the job comes first. I mean, if you don't do this, there's 100 people who are going to basically take your job from you. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, it certainly is. You know, this is my only field, so I can't say it's the most competitive field, but it certainly is. You know, it's a competitive business to be in. And I think, you know, and I agree with you there. It is very difficult to keep a relationship going well, which is strange, because that's what we do. Is we do relationships, we do connections with people while we're on stage or on film. We do love stories, we do all this stuff. But it's because of how much effort and time we put into making that authentic and real that it's harder to do it in our own lives, which, you know, is very, very strange. But, you know, for instance, you know, if you date another person in the industry, you know, if you're an actor dating an actor, which, you know, I've done, you know, there's a good and a bad. The other person understands what it means to do this. They understand, you know, where you need to devote your time, when you need to devote your time. You know, you can help each other out as far as preparing for certain things. But at the same time, I think that, you know, that almost makes it harder to spend real time with each other, because you're both living that crazy, never know when you're going to get called or for how long, you know, lifestyle. So, you know, there's definitely a good and a bad. But I would agree completely that if this is something you're serious about doing, and that's what you want to do, if there's nothing else you want to do, then it's worth it. And I think once you obtain a certain degree of success, where you can kind of take a step back and be able to be a little bit more picky and choosy about what you want to do when you want to do it, instead of just taking anything that comes your way, which is, you know, how it starts, then I think there's time for that. But I think at first you really just have to jump in with both feet and want to do it no matter what, you know, some of the sacrifices you're making are. But in the end, I look at it as sacrifice is kind of the wrong word, because I think this is the coolest thing in the world, you know? So I feel like I win, not lose. You know, me personally.
Okay. Well, first of all, your performance, I loved your performance. I thought you guys were fantastic. I liked everyone who did it. And I liked the performance again, even though, again, normally I don't like this, but I like this. I liked it a lot. So, yeah. A lot. Okay. So, thank you once again for being on the show.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Yeah, you know, it's a great story. I hope more people come and check it out. But, you know, at the very least, I think you'll be entertained. But yeah, thank you so much for the time. I appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you once again. War Stories will be playing at the Actors Workout Studio from February 3rd to March 5th. For more information, go to www.edm.ticketleap.com/war-stories.